Top there, welcome back to CourtTV Live and our continuing coverage of the state of North Dakota versus Chad Isaac, the chiropractor who was accused of quadruple murder back in 2019 at a property management company. On the stand this morning is the widow of one of the victims in that mass shooting. She is now the owner of RJR Property Management. Her husband, Robert, and her managed the company before his death in 2019. She talked extensively about their relationship that the employees had with her and the relationship that her employees had with her late husband, Robert.
As both his wife and as the co-owner of RJR, how would you describe Robert's relationship with his employees?
I would say people respected Robert. He had an air. He was a tough individual. You got to know him. He would give you the shirt off his back. He was a very fair individual, and I believe all the employees realized that. I think they respected him a lot, and that's one thing we missed, was the respect.
When you and Robert first opened RJR, approximately how many employees did you have on staff?
We were around 26, 28 at that time. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
That's fine. To the best of your knowledge. Yeah. How many employees do you currently have?
I want to say we're at 35 or 36 right now.
So you have grown?
Yeah, we had to.
How would you describe the employees at RJR?
Then or now?
Both.
We were very close family back then. We're still a family, but I don't think we have that same bond because we're missing those people. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Not a problem. You're fine. Both then and now, do your employees get along with one another?
Oh yeah, when I say family, you still have the family sibling riots and stuff. So yeah, we have our disputes, but I think all around, we have a fabulous team.
Do you and your employees ever get together outside of work hours?
Yeah, we do. We try to do company parties together. There's a lot of them that we, go out on a regular basis with each other. Surprisingly, there's a lot of friendships built within RJR.
With us this morning, Misty Neary is in Williston, North Dakota. Also joining us, Jeffrey Wolf from Denver, Colorado, both criminal defense attorneys. All right, Misty, let's sum it up. So far, the state has had direct. We've gone into some of the cross, but much more ahead. Your thoughts on this witness and the effectiveness of both direct and now the beginning of the cross?
The prosecution has done a good job in allowing her to tell her story. She's clearly emotional. I think she comes across as being very credible. But at the same time, looking at where the defense is going and trying to predict based off of their opening statement what we're looking at, it's not quite over yet. I think it's going to be interesting to see how certain things go. The one flaw I do foresee coming in a cross-examination is that while you can allege an allegation that, she may have been more involved, the big question for the defense is going to be the how. This was a brutal attack. You had the use of multiple stab wounds. You had the use of gun. She clearly has inside information as to the schedules of these people, and there doesn't appear to be a motive against any of the other three victims. And so it's one thing to just make the suggestion that somebody may have had something to do with it, but unless the defense can actually either try to impeach her or to try to figure out more of that way, or at least propose a different theory, it's kind of one of those things. I don't know whether or not it's going to hold any water. And then, of course, you have the second line of questioning about, this being a property management and the potential for disputes here. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I think that both sides are doing their best, and they're clearly presenting a good argument, and they're very skilled, at least, at presenting that picture. But this witness is definitely credible. She's emotional, at least with her direct in the right places. She is presenting very well. And so it'll be interesting to see how things develop through this further cross-examination, and when these sensitive topics come up, how does that change?
Jeffrey, in the openings, the defense said that, hey, this affair that Robert was having, maybe his wife Jackie could have hired somebody maybe to, kill everybody because she was mad. The problem with that theory, of course, is that now that we've met Jackie, to Misty's point, I'm not buying that she's the mastermind behind this quadruple murder. And now that you've promised it in the open, how do you go there now with this jury without offending them? I think the other side of the coin, that they are accomplishing, that this can be a nasty business, and they're getting that out of Jackie. But Jeffrey Wolf, how do you get the other part of this that you promised in your open out of this witness without coming across as being callous?
Right, because you never want to write a check in your opening that your evidence is not going to cash, right? Because a jury is going to expect you to keep those promises. And so when you make that kind of an allegation in opening, you now have set yourself up to hope that the witness is going to give it to you. And I agree with Missy. I think she definitely presented very well with her emotions in the appropriate times, and then even being able to laugh at good memories with these people. I think it gives her a sense of credibility. However, I think what they're trying to do is they, number one, appear to be pivoting a little bit to the business and the different people that they came into contact with, because after all, they are managing a trailer park with hundreds of residents. And so there's no way of knowing what these other people could have been into or the kinds of conflicts that could have come up. And it doesn't seem like there is any sort of why there with the defendant either. And so I think what they're showing is that the prosecution is going forward on somebody that they have no why with, and showing that they didn't investigate quite enough the people that they maybe did have a why with, or looked into somebody that did have a why. And that's what they're doing. And the other thing that you should never discount is the defense attorney's ability to flip somebody in a moment. They are going to question her and hope that at some point she gets angry, because then it kind of washes away the facade of a very sympathetic witness. I've done it. I've seen other skilled attorneys do it. It is something that absolutely can be done. And so taking a break, letting her collect herself, feel comfortable, coming back and maybe hitting a little bit harder and seeing what could come from that, don't count them out just yet.
Yeah, Bruce Quick, obviously a skilled attorney with some experience on his side. Misty, the other part, or the other potential strategy here is don't go into it much. One question about it, just to sort of throw it out there in a way of like, could the affair have elicited something else, or push it away from her, but bring it up once and then forget it, because you've established it with the open. Or maybe, as Jeffrey said, maybe they've got a plan to go at her and try to hit the other side of her, which they may believe she has.
Well, I think the one flaw that will probably come up, depending on how much time they're going to spend on this topic of this affair, is, at least from what I noticed with her direct, is that according to her testimony, she didn't have any prior knowledge of this affair until after, approximately 30 days after it happened. And if that is true, and the defense doesn't have anything to contradict that, that would actually kind of undermine the credibility of that type of thing. So we'll see kind of how things develop, whether or not the defense has more of a strategy toward that point, or whether they end up doing a pivot point and kind of focusing on just the ugly nature of the business.
Yeah, and Jeffrey, to that point, she was pretty clear. April 30th was the day she found out about the affair, and the second worst day of her life. I mean, that was gripping, because you could see the pain that she was reliving of finding out that her deceased husband had in fact been having an affair with someone she knew, this Lisa Nelson. I just, it's going to be interesting to see, is this almost, and again, to your point, there's a break here. The witness gets to collect herself, but the defense team also gets to powwow as well.
Right, absolutely. And the bottom line is, she is presenting very well, but this is a woman who is running a mobile home park. She is not a wallflower. I have a very, very, very difficult time believing that she doesn't have a tough side to her that is not coming out in this testimony, either because she's genuinely very sad about this incident, or because there's a bit of overacting going on here. It is very, very hard to believe that somebody could be as successful running these types of businesses and these types of residences without having the ability to stand up and have a backbone. My grandfather ran a motel and a self-storage unit, and he was a very nice grandfather, but he could be tough with his tenants, and I'm sure she could as well. And so at some point, the defense has got to crack the soft shell that she has, right? We always think of it the other way. She's got a soft shell on. There is a hard interior there. It has to be there. She would not be able to do this job without it.
Yeah, and I think, Misty, it's evidence that she does have a hard interior on some level because of the nature of her work, right? And now she's running the whole thing. Getting down to that would help achieve the goal of expressing to this jury that this is a tough business, right? You want that character Louis De Palma from Taxi to come out, right? But because she is really the person that is navigating a lot of personalities, a lot of people. We may see that. Is that necessary?
It's kind of one of those things. I completely agree. There's got to be a tough exterior here. I mean, you have a woman who has had difficult circumstances, and she has strove to persevere to get through them, and she's taken on this entire role. And if she has that capability, it's logical to think that she's got to learn how to say appropriate boundaries, yes or no. So I mean, I'm certain we all have dualities in our personality, so there has to be a tough side there. Now, what'll be interesting to see is if during the cross, if the criminal defense attorney Quick here can actually trigger some of that anger and some of that emotion, because what I've noticed in a courtroom is that you can have somebody present one way during a direct examination, but then during cross, when you hit that nerve, sometimes their inner personality kind of comes out, or a different side of them comes out. And so it's going to come down to, how much the defense actually has as far as using it for leverage, and, how well prepared this witness is for dealing with some of these tougher questions that come out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also seeing a little bit of that play out between the attorneys. A couple of the objections Quick didn't like. He was turning, and he got thrown off his game there a little bit, too. We'll see. Now, Jackie Fackler has kept that soft exterior. And one of the questions asked to her was about the other victims and the fact that they even traveled with the couple. She really did connect, I would argue, with this jury when she talked about them, which would lead you to believe there's no way she would say yes to a quadruple murder or set up some sort of hit where those people also would be in harm's way. Take a listen.
How would you describe your personal relationship with the cops?
One of our best friends. I mean, we watched. They'd have to come out to the farm because Lois loved the farm. Bill loved the farm. That's why they ended up getting a farm before they passed away. They got a cow from us, so they started their herd. I'm sad to say don't have the cow anymore. But they were out there. They helped us when we did the cattle, when we took them out to pasture, when we brought them home, when we vaccinated them. They were out there to watch The Walking Dead. They were out there to watch Hells on Wheels. So we spent a lot of time together. We went to Mexico once. We went to Medora every year. So they were our family. They were there. They knew my kids. They spent time with my kids. They were part of the family.
Jeffrey Wolf, it's hard to believe that this woman organized a hit to whack everybody involved here, including her husband that may have been having an affair. Well, I guess he was having an affair. She may not even have known about it. It doesn't make sense, and it won't make sense to jurors, will it?
Well, I think it doesn't make sense if you think about a hit in the most Hollywood sense of the word, right? You hire a professional hitman, you tell them what time to be there, you make the plan, you know the plan, everybody sticks to the plan. But what we see when we see these murder for hire cases that actually get charged is we see that really what it is you just hire a local tough. And then the local tough does whatever the local tough's going to do, and usually something goes wrong, which is why people get caught, right? And so it is not inconceivable to think that somebody who runs a trailer park could not meet a local tough guy, hire said local tough guy, and have him decide that early morning is the time that works for him. And little does he know that two of her best friends are also there, and then this, fourth, handyman type guy as well. And so that's something that needs to start getting communicated as well. I don't know if they have some type of witness to talk about what a hit actually looks like in real life, because it's very rarely somebody coming in with a silencer and night vision goggles and getting the right person between the eyes. That's just not how it works.
Yeah. Misty Nearing, thank you for your time this morning and your expertise. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a break right now. Jeffrey's going to stay with us. We're still waiting for the jury to come back on their mid-morning break. As soon as they're back and the judge is back, we'll get you into the courtroom for more live testimony. Stay with us.